Awesome. So, hey everyone, my name is Abi. I'm a software engineer here at Sentry. I work on building the SDKs at Sentry, mainly the JavaScript ones. I just want to give a quick intro into what Sentry does, what you can do with it, and how we're embracing Svelte so that you can debug and make your Svelte apps even faster. So I know I'm in a room full of problem solvers, and you use Svelte to solve your problems. And with those problems sometimes come questions, though. Why is my application crashing? Why do users do this? Or why is this so slow? I thought I coded it right. And so Sentry exists to kind of help you answer some of those questions. And it's really quite simple, actually. In order to set it up, you just need to npm install our Svelte package, or yarn, or pnpm, whatever you use. And then you initialize the Sentry SDK. Sometimes you have to give us sample rates based off of what kind of data you want. But that's pretty much it. And what does that look like? Well, before I actually show you the Sentry UI, let's look at I have an example SvelteKit app. And again, yeah, I just added Sentry here with a couple of sample rates. You notice there's some integrations for some fancy new products we have. Maybe you're familiar with our errors, but we also do performance monitoring, and now, as of last week, session replay as well. And what do you get when you install the SDK? Well, you get something that looks like this. Whenever you get an error, unhandled exception, or you can also handle it yourself and send it to Sentry, you get an error which tells you what browser it was on, what the user was, operating system, and even the stack trace, all kind of properly source mapped for you to see. This means you can exactly see the line of code that your users hit when they were using your application in production and know, OK, I have to fix this error. We give you a bunch of nice tags to make it even faster. I'm sure the stack trace helps a lot. And give you a bunch of useful information about how many users hit the error, how often it happened. So you know, OK, is this actually important for me to solve or not? If you're curious, though, because maybe, hey, the stack trace doesn't tell you enough, we also even have the ability for you to do a session replay, where this is actually just the default Svelte template with the Svelte Wordle clone. And if I click play, I can see, oh, somebody clicked that button, and it looks like that button was causing that error over here. If you notice also, this is completely privacy first. So we, by default, strip out any images or text, because we're not an analytics tool. We just want to make your life easier to actually debug things. So yeah, we can see, oh, there was an error, and that was because somebody clicked a button. How could they? But it's not just kind of errors that can plague your app. Sometimes it's also even your performance problems. And so we help you track that as well. You can see here that this is a super fast 5-millisecond navigation. And that's because SvelteKit is really fast. But you can instrument your components on your page and say that, hey, it took this long for the layout to render. It took this long for the header to render or to update. This is a navigation. Maybe let's look at a nice looking. This is why you don't demo live. Let's try to look for a nice one. Oh, there you go. And then here's that was just navigation, which again, the router just went from one page to another. This is a raw page load where you can actually see, hey, look, my browser's making this request response, and then loading a bunch of these resources, probably because I'm not actually bundling this properly, and I'm running this all in development environment. Lots of things from node modules that get rendered. And then some self components that render at the end. So this is what Sentry gives you. It tells you about your errors, tells you what's slow, And it helps you explain what your users were exactly doing before this stuff happened, so that you can focus on building, on solving problems, and let Sentry answer your questions. And that's pretty much it. I also want to give a huge shout out to Lucas right over there, who basically built our Svelte SDK, all of this. He's right there, yeah. Who all this fancy component tracking stuff, that was also him. Right now, we only really have support for just Svelte. And if you are running SvelteKit and you want to monitor your backend, you just have to run our regular Node SDK. But we have work to add proper first-class SvelteKit support, which we're going to be doing in the next couple of months. This is actually one of our most active issues. People really, really want this all the time. They actually keep commenting, please, I'm waiting for support.
And your comments.
Yeah. And so we're working on this. But if you want to get your voice heard, please join us on GitHub. It's where we all hang out. And let us know your thoughts. That's pretty much it. Thank you. Does anybody have questions, I guess, while we do it?
Yeah, questions.
Yes?
Yes, so you mentioned there is no SvelteKit support at the moment, but I saw the example you showed us was the SvelteKit project, but the use of Sentry is only for the browser-related JavaScript.
Yeah, I mean, you can still add our Node SDK. And actually, Lucas also wrote up an example of how you can do this, of adding instrumenting server-side and then instrumenting client-side as well, one with the Svelte SDK and one just with our Node SDK. But we want to make this easier. This is, again, too much code to use Sentry. We don't like this. It's too many lines. And so we want to get rid of these lines, which is what we're going to be doing with an actual first-class SvelteKit SDK. Also, uploading source maps, but that's always a pain. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm just curious because it's cool that you have session replay and everything. I'm just wondering how does it impact the website load? So basically, how much of script to use?
Yes, this is a great question. So just looking, performance. So we go through each of our products. Errors. Yeah, it's a little expensive to parse the stack trace, but you are in an error code path, so you have to live with it. There's already error on your application. Can't really be worried too much about performance then. But again, the overhead should not be that bad, especially because there are many, many sites all across the world running Sentry on their JavaScript apps. Performance, basically the same thing. The most expensive thing it's doing is recording timestamps and measuring things. So you don't really see too much of an overhead there. Replay, it's a little more expensive, but there's a couple things that work in our advantage here. The replay recording is not actually an actual video. It's just a reconstruction of the DOM, and then you have snapshot of things change. So with just by recording the diffs, we only send minimum amount of data, and you don't actually have to record everything. Also, we kind of take a lot of expensive computation and put it off into a web worker, which helps things even more on that side. So actually kind of compressing the payload and sending it does not block the main thread, which is super important. In terms of the actual overhead, though, we do have to add a bunch of event listeners to record what's going on, what inputs are being sent, what components are being clicked. So that is always there. But we've been running session replay on our production Sentry application. So if anybody here uses Sentry and tries to debug error, this web app here, we've been using replay on it, and we've found no big performance pitfalls. But if you do have feedback, it's always appreciated. Just open up a GitHub issue, or PRs are welcome if you really want to fix some stuff.